I'm here. Everything's working, and it didn't take a half an hour. Exile Faye, hello, hello. Are you listening today? Can you hear me? I hope that you're having a good day. Ghost Pepper, my beloved Pepper in his Pepper Palace. Conquest, hello, hello. Thank you for welcoming me to my stream. Appreciate. That was random. Oh, this is a song about Monsters Inc. Okay, that's why that sounded like Roz. I was like, Roz? So today, as you can see, we are working on more of this lovely... I filled out a little bit more. I did a little bit of this fin last night, and I did a little bit more of the neck portion here. Just lurking again. No worries, Exiled Faye. I hope work is going well. I hope life is going well. If you're able to check in with us and let us know, please do. But obviously, do what you gotta do. So we're gonna work on a little bit more of this, like, horn area. If you see here, we're gonna start with a little bit of this, and then hopefully start getting some yellow on these horns here, and then we're gonna do a little bit of the muzzle before we start getting into our organization. I'm basically just gonna finish the head and horns. I'm not gonna touch the wings or the moon at all until after I take a break and work on a different project. That way I don't get, like, burnt out on one project. So we really just have, like, this area to do. Hey Gina, how's it going? Yes, this is the current project. I'll try to fit it all in the camera. It's quite large. And all of these little, like, white spots are for beads. So I've not done beadwork before on a cross stitch. I'm really looking forward to that. And then we have the upper portion, which we're working on. And I basically have, like, 2 projects on the go. So I'll finish the head of the dragon. I'm not sure. This was actually a kit that I bought. So, like I was saying yesterday, I'm sort of just moving into the territory of custom stuff. So this was a kit that I actually... It looks like Joan Elliott might be the designer. This was actually a gift that was given to me for Christmas last year. Because my in-laws know that I love cross-stitching and love dragons. So they got me this. But I'm feeling confident enough to start striking into more custom designs and stuff. So that's sort of where I'm going from here. But I haven't, you can see I haven't started this is like where the moon will go. And I haven't done any of the wings yet. So I'll take a break. I have another one I'm working on. I have this one, which is for our good friend Vinyl. This is also a kit. And so once I finish the dragon's head, I'm going to come in. This one, all the cross stitching is done. I just need to do the back stitching. So I'm going to start doing that as soon as we finish the dragon's head. And it will hopefully be fabulous. It'll hopefully be done because we're hoping that Collie Flumps and Vinyl can visit in the summer. So it'll hopefully be done so she can take it home. Could not find it to save my life in the Twitch settings. I need you to show me how to turn on the streak thing. I don't necessarily know how to turn it on. It just started working for me. But I'll let you come up and look at my OBS when I finish streaming, and we'll find it. Because I thought you said you turned it on and I never got a streak for you. And I was like, oh, maybe he decided not to turn it on. Maybe he decided again it. All right, so we are doing, I promised to pick the right color today and not do half of it on the wrong color. So you're looking for number 12, pale yellow. So you're gonna do this color. Do not want to cooperate with my fingies today. Put this over here because it's easier for me to show you guys the picture if I put it to the side. Normally I like lift it up like this, which is like perfectly off camera, and keep the chart like here. But while we're streaming, make sure you guys can see my stitches. I actually would really love to, when I figure out how to do custom designs, I'd really like to do something similar to this dragon because I have, can I extract it from the tangle of cords on my desk? I have this, I have my dragon clock, and this is very similar to the dragon in the Celestial Serenade. He's silver instead of gold, but very, very similar to this, and I would love to do a cross stitch of him. So that would be kind of nice. Just have to figure out how to make it not all silver. Too bad it couldn't be in Pattern Keeper. Yeah, well, I just, it never kind of occurred to me before to do, like, I always just kind of did kits, because I was like, oh, you know, they come with everything. And I also, like, drifted in and out of the hobby a lot prior to, like recent months, like the last year or so. And then I decided, nobody tell Joe. You're sworn to secrecy. But we have a friend who's like streaming, like his like, I don't want to say gimmick, but like his on-stream personality is like he's the Glizzy King, right? So he's always talking about hot dogs and all of his emotes are hot dog themed, and I was like, I really want to find like a hot dog man cross stitch, or even like do one of his emotes as like a cross stitch. And I knew right away, I was like, I'm not gonna find a kit. So that was when I was kind of like, all right, it's time to strike out, time to learn how to do custom stuff, and like so I started looking for patterns on Etsy, and I found some really nice patterns that I wanted to do for friends. And so I was like, all right, I'll start there, and I'll get the hang of like getting my own materials and learning how to cut the Aida cloth, because I've not done that before either. And then from there, I'll hopefully be confident enough that I can start doing my own patterns and like figuring out how to take like art that I have that I want to make into a pattern and go from there. So that's kind of the plan. And that's why I have all these new threads that I'm organizing, is so that I can start doing non-kit designs and custom designs and stuff. And it's all because I decided that I wanted to gift a bunch of my friends some crayon stitches. I've also found a really, I found a dinosaur pattern that I want to do, and I found a really cute Winnie the Pooh pattern that I want to do for one of our friends who's really into Winnie the Pooh. Same as me, because I like Winnie the Pooh as well. And again, like, I found a whole bunch of Winnie the Pooh kits. But they're like $80. And I'm like, I don't want to pay $80 for a, like, this size cross stitch. Maybe there are pre-cut. I haven't, because I'm working with pretty small patterns, so I haven't found the size that I need. But I read that you can cut the cloth if you need to. I'm sort of new to the whole non-kit thing, so if I say something that sounds dumb, feel free to correct me. But I'm also working with pretty small patterns. Like, the hot dog one I want to do is, I think, like, 8 by 8. Like, 8 inches by 8 inches. It's not very big. So, like, if I was going to do something of this size, I've found Ada cloth of this size, but I want to do a couple smaller ones. But I'm pretty much at the point now. I've found a bunch of patterns I want to do. I've gotten the thread. So Ada cloth is kind of the last thing I need to figure out, is just how to get the size that I want, and then I can get started on the fun part, which is the actual stitching. Rachel Ray, she could point in the direction where to get some pre-cut cloth. Okay. Yeah, I'll check it out. I genuinely appreciate everyone, like, giving me links and pointing me, like, to the sites and stuff to look at, because, like I said, it only recently occurred to me that, like, hey, if you're not, like, penned in by what you can find as a kit, you'll be able to do, like, way more stuff. So I do not have that, like, background of, like, resources built up yet of, like, oh, I need this thing, I can find it here. Like, I'm still kind of used to getting used to the idea that, oh, if you want to craft something, somebody somewhere has, you know, figured out a way that you can do that, and you just have to, like, find the resource. Pie, 7 stream streak. Oh my goodness, I can't talk today. Thank you so much. How many pie hydrates have we got? 2, 4, 6, 7. Well, we are getting caffeinated this morning. A 1. A 2. A 3. A 4. A breathing break. Rachel Ray's on Twitch. I didn't know that. That's super cool. 3 more. Hi, how you doing today? Last one. I hope you're feeling very pie. Thank you for keeping me caffeinated this morning. This is a very light color, but hopefully it will start to come into focus when we get it surrounded by other colors. Yeah, we do. Hang on. So I shared this with my husband, Ghost Pepper, which is why it's called the Pepper Patch. I promise you it is my Discord. And there's a check this out section where you can post the link. And any other, like, craft resource that you want to share on there. Come on, you bugger. You guys can see like where this thread is very light, so hopefully it is coming through on the camera. Normally when I'm writing all the time, this is like my Saturday morning thing, is I like to just do cross stitch Saturday morning with my coffee. Usually I put on whatever latest episode of Critical Role or High Rollers or whatever. And I do my cross stitching. And I love it. What's interesting is that, like, this horn, so the dragon's cheek is, like, right here, and this horn comes, like, right down to the cheek, which is really interesting. But because it's so stick figure-y right now, it's like my brain is trying to make sense of it, and it doesn't quite, it's not quite jiving with what the pattern is showing me yet. Because I keep thinking this should be the jaw, but it's not. The jaw's down here. I think when I start getting into pattern making, that might be the most challenging part for me, is like trusting that I'll be able to translate it onto like an actual sensical image. Slightly more efficient if I don't do it that way. Alright, one too many, that's why that's not lining up. I got carried away. You can post it in the check this out area for sure. One of our goals is to do a CRS type stream. Is this for you, like your long running campaign conquest, or will it be like a new one? Like a test sort of thing. I love watching actual plays. I just started getting into Dimension 20. I watched the first 2 seasons of Fantasy High. And I've just kind of fallen in love with Brennan Lee Mulligan's like DM style. It's so off the cuff, but also just really like heartwarming and amazing. And man, whenever Allie rolls one of those like weird ass clutch natural 20s, he makes it like big. All new, maybe a super styles one. That sounds super cool. And will that be on your Conquest publishing account? Like if I keep an eye on your Twitch account, is that where it'll be? Let's make sure I did this right. I did. My husband does for those that don't know, does a Twitch actual play D&D campaign called The Winds of Chaos. Every Tuesday. They did not have one this week due to some scheduling issues. But every Tuesday they get together and turn his trees into horses, and it's great. Nice, Conquest. I'll keep an eye out for it. And please feel free to post in the Discord, like when you go live and stuff. We have a section in the Discord for people to post when they're going live. So from there, I think we're hopping over here. I have to be careful because there's two different diagonals and it's easy to get them mixed up. We want the one that goes here, I think. There's one that's yellow and one that's green, and I almost started doing the green stitches. Don't know that we're gonna have enough thread to go all the way up and come all the way back. So let's see. Okay, I actually did. I actually have a mistake in yesterday's, but it should be easy to fix, theoretically. Don't have a mistake. I just didn't mark off all the stitches that I did. That's what's throwing me off. My mother-in-law does these, like, without marking off what she's done on the chart, and I have no idea how she keeps track of all of the stitches that she's done, like, in her head. Cyberwolf, how's it going? Can I put under suggestion for Racial Link if you see two Gina Stark? They both are one for my computer and the other is for my phone, since my phone got hacked. No worries. No worries, Gina. Thanks for letting us know. Cyberwolf, how you doing? Yeah, we went to visit my in-laws. I think it was over the summer. Last year, and my mother-in-law and I would just sit at the table and do cross stitch and just chat for like hours because it's so chill. And she was doing this pattern of little mice for her niece. Or I guess like her grandniece. I'm not quite sure how that works. I'm not quite sure. I still, even after the conversation we had on chat on stream the other day, I'm still not entirely sure what the proper term is. One of my husband's cousins has a daughter, and she was making a pattern for her. And she doesn't mark it off with the highlighter. She just keeps track of it in her head. And I'm like, I cannot keep track of where I'm looking on the pattern if I don't like mark it down somehow. And then like I use a different color when I come back to do the backstitch details and stuff, but she just looks at it and then she does a thing and then she goes back to it, and I'm like, damn. Although she's been doing this a lot longer than I have as well. So finally got an e-bike ordered. Nice. When is that coming, Cyber? I need to get back into my exercise bike. I desperately need to find a time period in my day when I can consistently do it. Because I love to sit at my stationary bike and just read. I need to fill in some of this. Oh, this is epic cross-stitching music. High stakes cross-stitching. Sometime next week? Nice! Well, I hope it comes on time. And that you get to start using it. Thanks for sharing the link, Gina. Man, this song makes me think I should be writing. This is writing music here. Oh, Battle of the Soul, it's called. No wonder. Oh, dang! Cyberwolf, that's friggin' cool! Hell yeah! Not available in my area. That is really nice looking. Top speed 3 miles per hour, 50 miles on one charge. Nice! 30 miles per hour. Nice! That is awesome. Apple, how's it going? How are you? We are doing the dragon cross stitch today. Doing pretty pretty good. I've been chilling out this week, taking some time off writing, just letting my muse chill. So that I'll be raring to go next week when I start up writing again. Been doing a puzzle, been doing lots of crafting. Just got a whole bunch of new threads for custom cross-stitch projects that I'm hopefully going to start doing soon. So it's been good. How have you been? It's nice to do a stream where I can where I can get a little bit more distracted and not have to worry about the the productivity for the morning. Not that we don't get distracted on my regular streams, because I do, but you know, I have to actually get myself back on track for those. Today is no pressure. Might be... This is an awkward place to stop, but I think I might be at the terminus of how far this is going to reach. Now that I'm going to have it, I will be able to regain some freedom and not need people to take me to work at the store. That's nice, Cyberwolf. I was just going to say, that's probably going to help you get around a lot. I do not drive. I don't know if I've mentioned this on stream before, but we live in a very walkable neighborhood for the most part, which is nice. But, like... if Ghost Pepper is sick and my friends want to, like, meet up across town, I have to be like, somebody will have to grab me and give me a ride. We are hoping to rectify that soon. We're planning to teach me to drive this summer, but I do appreciate that we live in such a walkable... For anyone who's, like, at your age, you don't drive, we lived in Toronto for, like... 8 years, and there's really no point in driving in that city. Like, public transit is just easier and cheaper, and faster. But now we don't live in Toronto anymore, so Ghost Pepper keeps reminding me, you need to be able to drive if I'm sick and I can't take you somewhere. And now my friend Sherry is also like, you should be able to drive if Ghost Pepper is sick and can't take you somewhere. So I'm getting it from, like, all the angles. Ooh. Hello, JK Lambo. How's it going? I am working on this Dragon Cross Stitch. Taking a break from writing this week to do some chill crafting. We just worked on these little horn bits. They're starting to flesh out. You can kind of see, like, this is part of the head, and then this is, like, the cheek down here. I still think it's hilarious that it's, like, this stick figure head and this, like, really beefy neck and body. And we got a hydrate and a stretch from Cyberwolf. Heck yeah. I'm actually going to stand up for this stretch, and I might pop into the kitchen and reheat my coffee. But first, I'm going to stand up and do a stretch. Heck yeah. You can see my Jack Skellington Nightmare Before Christmas shirt. Heck yeah. And I think the next color we're gonna work on a bit of the muzzle for the next part, I think. So I think we're actually gonna use the color that I mistakenly used yesterday. We'll put it in the proper spot. I had to rip out a bunch of stitches yesterday because I used the wrong color. So I'm double checking all of them today to make sure I pick up the right ones. Thank you! Yeah, this is my Ursula mug. This is my pride and joy. Ursula forever. My Disney Plus, you can have like an icon for your Disney Plus profile. Ghost Peppers is Darth Vader, because of course. And mine is Ursula, because Ursula is my villain jam. So, when I first started getting back into doing puzzling on my break, the first puzzle that I did, the first puzzle that I picked up like just for me was the Ravensburger Ursula puzzle that goes with their game Villainous. Like it's they have like access to, Ravensburger has access to all the Disney like art because they make the Disney Villainous game. And so they've also done JC Boom! Hello! Thank you so much for the raid! How's it going? I feel like I haven't seen you in ages. Also, how's Little Boom? I heard Little Boom just had a birthday. Happy birthday to Little Boom. If I had to choose a coffee cup character, mine would be Iron Man. Nice! Oh, I bet if they did, I don't know if they've done one in this style, but I bet if they did an Iron Man in this style, it would be super cool. They did a bunch of the, like, princesses in this style. I don't know if they did the superheroes. He's home right now, so I'm trying out streaming with him at home. Nice! I hope it's going well. How did your stream go? Were you writing today? I'm taking the week off writing, so we are doing, as you can see, crafting today. Working on this dragon, which will someday look like this when it's finished. You can see like all the little white spots are where the beads will eventually go. It's coming together. We're working on the head. Just lobby stream so I can see how much he interferes. Oh, nice. I hope it went well. So, yeah, I love two things. Well, I love many things, but dragon and octopus are two of the big ones. So, I do have my eye on a octopus pattern that I want to do in the future. It's a little, did I have a picture of it? It's a little octopus, like a star-speckled octopus, kind of like Star Striker in Game of Tomes, and it's drinking tea, and it's like so adorable. I think I saved a picture of it somewhere, I just don't know where. I'm trying to find where I put it. Did I put it in my writing area? I wouldn't put it. I did. I put it in my writing area. I was like, I don't know why I would put it in my writing area, but hang on. Let me. So this, I want to do this someday. This is one of the future patterns that I want to do. I might try to make it, depending on when I do it, I might try to make it a little bit more strikery. I think I am on Coffee's Discord. I don't know if I've checked it in a while because I'm on like 50 Discords. Does Coffee do cross stitch as well? Should share that. Oh, that's true. I should. Coffee would love this. So this is one of the patterns that I want to do in the future because it's super cute. And then I'll have my dragon with a moon and my octopus with tea. So this is one of the on my radar for the future patterns that I really want to do. I don't know if you can really see, but behind me I have this little it's a picture of a squid holding pom-poms and it says I believe in you. Well, and I have this little guy. This was made for me by It's Woof. Cutie little octopus. So my two loves. So I got my big dragon cross stitch, and then eventually I gotta have my octopus. So yeah. So is Little Boom on spring break? Because my husband's on spring break as well. I don't know if they like coordinate those again now. Nice! I hope he's having a good time. Oh, they do have Iron Man 1. Oh, that's so cool! See, I like that. I really like that. Although I really like the head-shaped one, too. That is super cool. We have a couple... We don't have any of the, like, sculpted Marvel mugs, but we have a couple of Marvel mugs because Ghost Pepper's a big fan. We have a Spider-Man one. And I got him one that is, like, a bunch of the Avengers. The core, like, Avengers people. Not like a sculpted one. They're just like printed on the mug, but it's super cool. Right now he's voice calling me from the other room. Oh, that's so sweet. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna pop AFK for just 1 minute here because my coffee warmer, my mug is so tall. I don't know if you can really fully see it in the camera, but my mug is so tall that the coffee warmer works up to like here. And my coffee is currently up to here, so I'm just going to give it a quick refresh in the microwave. I will leave you with the dragon, and I will be right back. Enjoy your lurk, JC, and enjoy your lunch. I hope it's delicious. back. For those that don't know, JC Boom is the leader of our house, the house that I am in Game of Tomes, which is the House Mollusca. We are the sea creatures. Susan, hello! Love cross stitch. I'm Susan from Scotland. Welcome in. And oh my gosh, hey Emily, thank you so much for the raid. The cottage has arrived. Angel Faye, thank you so much. How's it going, everybody? Welcome in. Your timing is perfect. I just got back to my desk. Quarksand, hello, hello. Ambient Lisa, or Lissa. If I say anyone's name wrong, please correct me. Welcome in. Hey, Emily, hello, hello. Men and Iron Teeth. Oh, I love that name. Welcome in, welcome in. How's it going? Love writing and crafting, so it's an instant yes. Well, thank you so much. For those that don't know me, for those that are new, my name's Megan, Megan Cutler, aka Starborn Striker, and I am a sci-fi and fantasy writer. Usually I do writing streams, so most of the time during this time slot we are clicky clacking while we hang out with the ducks in Placid Plastic Duck Simulator. But I am taking the week off, just giving my muse a chance to percolate and rest. And so we're doing some crafting, because this is what I do in my spare time when I'm not writing. I'm working on this massive dragon here, and then I also have some brand new thread for some custom projects that I have ordered that we're going to be organizing in a little bit. So yeah. Hey Emily, thank you so much for the follow, and Ambient Lisa, thank you so much for the follow as well. So normally, like, what I do is I do my writing streams and then I go off stream to cross stitch. So we're sort of doing the opposite today. Freckled Crafts, hello, hello. Thank you so much for the follow as well. It's nice to meet you all. And yeah, Angel Faye hangs out here with us when we write a lot, so I'm glad that she brought some friends. What were you working on today, hey Emily? Embroidery for a long, long time. Nice. Yeah, I've never tried it like off the canvas. But I've been saying, like, I'm trying to get into, like, this is a kit, so the kit was gifted to me, with all of the materials and stuff in it. So I've never done non-kit cross-stitch, but I'm starting to look into custom patterns on Etsy, and so I just bought a whole bunch of thread to start doing my own, like, custom work. And I'm hoping to, like, work up to designing my own patterns, because I want to do stuff for my friends, right? And some of them, like, I did this really beautiful... I actually have it over here. I did this really beautiful horse for a friend of mine, because he was like, oh, when I was younger, I always wanted a carousel horse. And so I found this... and I did this for him. This is just waiting to get mailed to him, hopefully in the next few weeks. And so I was able to find a kit that, like, worked for him. But some of my friends, like, their interests are not really... Either, like, I can't find a kit, or the kits are so expensive that it's, like, not worth it. So it's like, now that I kind of know a little bit more what I'm doing, I should start getting into my own stuff and start, like, getting my own supplies. So I just bought like 150 colors, and I'm really excited to start getting into custom stuff. And I especially, like, I have some of my characters that I'd like to cross-stitch eventually, so... You were co-working today. Nice! I hope that the work went well. Should do more cross-stitch streams? I might! I've really been enjoying this. I used to have a group of friends that we would do, like, not necessarily specifically cross-stitch streams, but we would do crafting streams on Friday nights, and I would always cross-stitch on there. But our schedules sort of fell out of balance, unfortunately. But I really have been enjoying this. during my off writing time. I do cross stitch even when I'm writing. Like I just usually don't do it on stream. But this has been super fun. And obviously, if anyone has a project that they are working on, they can feel free to share it. I also see that Cyberwolf sent another link. I am going to check that as soon as I anchor this thread. Let me just get a stitch or two on here so that we aren't... So I don't have thread floating in the middle of nowhere, because it's liable to go flying off my desk if I get excited. Already getting tangled. My nails are just a little too long in there. Ooh. Hang on, I did something very strange. Caught a loop somehow. There we go. I'm gonna pull that out because that was very weird. I somehow stuck my thread through the other thread. I think I fixed it now. That would have looked very strange if I had left it. Need to get back to cross stitch so bad. I stopped doing it for a while. Like, I just kind of fell out of love with it. And then during the pandemic, I picked it up again. And I've just been bit by the crafting bug, like, ever since. I use it to, like, clear my head in between writing scenes or, like, at the end of the day. When I've finished just with my writing for the day. I just do a couple of threads. Like, usually I only do, like, 2 or 3 threads a day. But it comes together, like, over time. I just love to see the picture slowly come together. Enjoy your lurk, Emily. Thank you so much for dropping in. Need to pick kiddo up from school, no problem. Thank you again for the raid. I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day. So yeah. And I don't know what it was that, like, just, maybe it was because, you know, we were all stuck at home. We didn't have anything else to do, and I just kind of picked up the needle and thread again, and I started doing, like I said, I started doing kits for, like, my friends. This one's for me. The dragon is for me, 100%, because I love dragons. So this one will be staying in the house. I have plans to frame it and hang it up and everything once I get it all done. But I started doing kits for friends as well, and it just stuck with me, like. So I don't know why I fell out of it, and I'm not entirely sure why I got back into it, but it's certainly sticking around. And I've been doing it pretty steadily for, oh gosh, about a year now, maybe a year and a half. It's just become my default relaxation sort of thing. That sound in the song made me think I was getting a text. Well, let me see Cyberwolf's last link. Ooh, I really like that one, Cyberwolf. That's snazzy. I like the red. I really like the red in that one. It's a travel mug too, so I bet it keeps drinks warm for a long time. Oh, they have different sizes as well. That's really cool. I see they also have a Captain Marvel one. I like that. I like the, like, scaling. Triple insulated. Nice. I actually had to, I had to actually put a ban on myself for buying mugs because we actually have so many, like, cool custom mugs. And now we actually just have, like, a countertop of mugs that are, like, from our Twitch friends, that are, like, merchandise from our Twitch friends. Which I love. I want to get a mug tree to display them better. But I had to, like, I fell in love with so many mugs that I had to be like, no. You can only have mugs that you're actually going to drink out of. So, but there are so many cool mugs out there. It makes me sad. It makes me sad I can't have them all. I do cave every now and then, though. I find something really cool, and I'm like, no, I have to have this one. I have to break the rule. So we're hopefully gonna start to get the... I got a little bit of fraying there. We're hopefully gonna start to get the muzzle filled in a bit more here, and then hopefully it'll look a bit more... The head looks very gnarly right now, but hopefully it'll start to look a bit more like an actual head. So we're working on this part down here. And I have spent a lot of time... I don't know if you can kind of tell on the camera, but on the head bit here, there's a bunch of really, like, tiny little symbols around the eye. So it's going to be a little difficult to tell some of the colors that are supposed to go in there, but I will do my best. Ooh, I think I went through the wrong part of the canvas there. I'm very particular about my cross stitch. If I do something that makes it look wonky, I'm happy to pull out stitches and redo them. I do think this kind of stuff, especially when you get into the back stitching, which is really fiddly, it does require a certain level of patience with fiddly things. There we go. That looks much better. But then again, I guess as a writer, you tend to build up a patience for fiddly things. Because novels are fiddly creatures as well. They need a lot of attention to detail, and often you have to redo things. So really, It's kind of the same. Same skill set. The main difference is when I do a cross stitch, I know what it's going to look like when I start it. And when I start a novel, I don't know what it's going to look like until it's done. Because it changes shape on me several times. Oh, this is another really epic song to be cross-stitching to. I feel like I'm like cross-stitching to save the world. Cross-stitch for the world. I think too, you just get into, with this sort of thing, you just get into a kind of rhythm, and then it's really easy for your brain to like think about other things, to think about like novel plots and like what you want to do with that upcoming project. It's just super chill. Cyberwolf, thank you so much for stopping by. Good luck with the bike. Let us know when it arrives. I hope you have tons of fun with it. And that it is super helpful for getting around, like you said. It looks rad. I recognize this song too. Oh, it's from Super Mario 64. Usually when I recognize the song on this list is from Yoshi's Island, because it's my old school jam. Still have a working copy of Yoshi's Island for my Super Nintendo, which still works. Well, my husband's Super Nintendo, but it's, you know, ours now. Now that I've filled in this cheek a little more, this purple bit feels slightly less random. This pattern has this weird habit of sometimes putting two symbols in the same square when it's divided on a diagonal, and it drives me nuts. Because I don't know what color to put there. Okay, I think that's the darker color and that's the lighter color. Sorry, but you guys should be used to me staring intently at stuff by now. It's pretty normal. Finally decided on Sunday I'll tackle my walk-in closet as it starts to annoy me and is a mess. Good luck, Angel Faye. I need to do something similar with our fridge. I need to just take everything out of our fridge and just clean it. Like, wipe down all of the shelving and, like, pull out all the drawers. It's a pain to do. I don't do it. I try to do it at least once a year. But it's a pain because, like, I have to take a bunch of the stuff out of the fridge and set it on the countertop while I'm doing the cleaning. And then I always feel really rushed because I'm like, okay, I got food sitting on the counter that I need to get back in the fridge. But sometimes you just need to go into a space and, like, strip it down to its base parts and reorganize it. So I feel that. Good luck. Good luck with the closet organization. I have so many clothes that I don't wear anymore or are small and they're just sitting there. I feel you. I try to do something like that. Not every year, but every couple of years I try to go through and, like, if I have clothing that I'm not really wearing anymore, I try to donate it. And especially, like, when we move, we tend to do that as well. We try to do, like, a big purge. Actually, hang on, I gotta look at this one more time. That actually should be the lighter color. Changed my mind. Just gonna add an extra stitch over here. Oh, this is like the ghost house music from Super Mario World. Hope to replace my current walk-in closet to a better one, but for now I'll work with what I have. For sure! And if it's driving you nuts, like if you feel like it needs the attention, it's definitely worth doing. Like, you'll just feel so much better when it's done. I've decided that I don't like this song anymore. I've decided that that wasn't for me. If you are working on a craft project, there's an I made this section. Or you can post it in photos. So under Creators Corner, there's I made this, and then under the around the patch more general section, there's a photos area. Either of those are perfect places. I need to start posting my updates. I have a bunch of pictures on my iPad that I just haven't uploaded to the Discord yet. There we go. Perfect. decided that that symbol is one of these. Sometimes with this pattern, I just have to make my best judgment and just go from there and just live with what I decided. You can't really see it because the hoop is over it right now, but when I was doing the claws, there was a lot of, I think this is what the pattern is telling me to do, but I'm not really sure. And just trying to make it look decent according to the pictures that I have to work with. So on the sidebar, there should be, there's a bunch of different places where it's broken down. So where the stream promos section is, it should just be 2 down from there to see I made this. So like right under where you posted the other link. And the photos one is up higher around where it says welcome. I don't think anything should be hidden. Ghost Pepper would have to correct me, but I don't think you have to like click on anything to reveal them. Like I know some Discords have a thing where you have to click on an icon, emote, in order to make it open, but I don't think ours is set up like that. Oh, there, I see it. I see it. That is massive. That is super cool. Very cool. Ah, I see. So I see the ones that are filled in and the ones that are sort of waiting. So do you, the little like heart prints and stuff, is that covering up parts that are already finished to like protect them? Not done, and the release paper helps me section things off. I see. That makes sense. I figured it was sectioning them off for some reason. I don't know a lot about diamond painting, so it's really cool to see it. I've seen a couple people show progress pictures of diamond paintings. And I think it's super cool because I don't know how to do that at all. sneeze. I'm gonna get away from the mic. Hopefully that didn't peak the mic. Hopefully I was far enough away. Sorry about that. Nice. I just appreciate you answering my questions and like showing off your progress and stuff. Because like I said, I've been intrigued by diamond painting for a while, but not having like so I got into cross stitch because my mother and my grandmother were very avid crafters, and they did a lot of crocheting and knitting and cross stitch and plastic canvas, which is basically just like a bigger version of cross stitch on plastic canvas with yarn. Tal, hello, thank you so much. I don't remember if I showed you yesterday, but here's the epic tale section, and we are working on the cheek, getting the cheek together. But so they basically taught me like how to do it and like the basic principles of it, and so I felt like I sort of had a confidence in like how to make decisions about like this looks like a good kit or this looks like it probably won't be fun or whatever. But then when I look at diamond painting, like I have so little experience with it that I don't feel like I can make informed decisions about it. So I appreciate being able to talk to people who've done it so that I can go, so like then when I go look at a pattern or whatever, I can say, oh, okay, well, from what I've heard from, you know, other people, this is a good kit for me to start with, or this is a good area for me to like look into to get that initial grounding. 'Cause I tend to be really like, I don't know if shy is the right word, but like skittish with new things, and new skills and stuff. So if oh my goodness, this canvas really does not like me. So if I have like just that little bit of confidence that I can go into something with, it makes me a lot less skittish about trying something new. So I appreciate that. How's it going today, Tal? What are you up to? And how was the rest of your day yesterday? Because I know we didn't get to talk much and you had to go. How did the appointment go? I know you were not looking forward to it. I hope it felt like less time than it actually was. I know that's unlikely, but I still hope. Although I talk about being skittish about craft stuff, I've also kind of learned that sometimes you just got to get in there and do the thing. And let it be messy and make a bunch of mistakes and then go from there. We learn by doing. Toby was officially diagnosed with autism, which gives us funding and opens a heap of doors that were previously locked to us. Well, it's good that you have the official diagnosis. I mean, I'm sorry to hear. I'm simultaneously sorry to hear and glad to hear that you got the. It's just a label. He's always Toby to us. Our eldest is the same, so we don't know any different, if that makes sense. No, that makes perfect sense. And that's a good way of looking at it. Like, I'm glad that you will have access to the funding that you need. Like, you know, that's very important. And I don't know how it is in your neck of the woods, but I know in the U.S. sometimes people have to jump through a lot of gosh, my throat just cracked. A lot of hoops to get the access to that kind of stuff, which sucks. But if you are able to hopefully not have to jump through flaming hoops of fire to get what you need, that's very important. I recommend look at Diamond Art Club on Amazon. They have a storefront and they have some beginner kits and they have some beginner on their website. Is that I think that's the one you mentioned to me yesterday. I definitely bookmarked a bunch of stuff yesterday that people shared, and I'm definitely gonna go page through it. I just spent a bunch of money on craft stuff, so it'll be a little while before I have like the fundage to put towards more craft stuff, but I'm definitely gonna like scroll through it and take a look and see. It's a circus of hoops and a 3-year wait just to get yesterday's appointment. 3-year wait! Oh my gosh. But it's done and now there are fewer hoops. Well, I'm very relieved to hear that. I can't imagine waiting 3 years. Like, a friend of ours waited 6 months for a neurology appointment, and I thought that was insane. Holy wow. I'm assuming it's the sort of thing where, like, you have to go to a specific practitioner, and that's why the wait times are so long, because you can't just go to the place down the street that has the availability. You have to go to this person, because they're, like, the certified one for the thing that you have to apply to, and... but I'm glad it's done. I'm glad it's done. Something you don't have to worry about anymore. But golly gee, do we just make it difficult for people to get access to things these days? I could go on a whole rant. If you like Hades, they diamond paint, but they don't come with diamonds or the trace and pens. Oh, I do like Hades. Interesting. In the Crojul section. I'll check that out. Well, thank you, Gina. You're always pointing me in the right direction. Because we have 2 kids with it, we can get early intervention for our 3rd child, who we think also has oppositional defiance disorder. Oh my goodness. Well, I'm glad that they give you something to make it a little less difficult. I was just talking to I won't repeat anything said, obviously, because it's not my stuff, but I was just talking to a friend the other day about their woes with the American healthcare system, and it just feels like it's so bulky. And I obviously don't know necessarily the differences in, like, Australia. Because do you guys have, public health care there? I'm assuming you do. I don't know how much it differs from ours. But sometimes it just feels like they make the system, like, needlessly bulky, and sometimes I kind of think they make it a headache because they know a certain percentage of people are going to just not bother. Which is kind of bullshit as well, but... It's not people with disabled friendly because it's so hard to get disability. It really is. Well, and again, that's one of those things where I think they make it so difficult because they're hoping that people will just decide that it's not worth their effort, which is shitty because like these are the people who need that like help the most and shouldn't have to jump through flaming flaming hoops of fire to get a little assistance, and yet we make it so difficult. A lot of the costs for the autism checks are private though, so for speech checks it's like $800. That's insane. That's insane. I don't know about that like specific part of the medicine like in Canada, like of the medical coverage in Canada. I know that like we have public health care, but it doesn't cover eye and dental. So if you want eye and dental coverage, you either need extended coverage through an employer or private insurance for that. It doesn't cover a lot of medicine. Like they're still pushing for a public medication plan. But even so, I'll take what we have versus what feels like the Wild West in the States. But I just have so many friends in the States who do have healthcare coverage, but then it's like, but I can only go to certain doctor's offices because only certain ones will take my insurance. And then sometimes even if you have really good insurance, the wait time is longer because you have to go to a specific practitioner. And it's just like, just let people get the medical attention they need. Like, my goodness. And they're so afraid that people will abuse the system that they make it impossible for the people who actually need it. I could soapbox about this forever. I've gone on I've gone on similar rants before. Almost at the end of this thread here, and then when we finish this, we will do some organization of the pretty colors that I have stashed away. Saves money in the long run. Like we could easily get $15,000 funding to cover OT costs. Eye and dental aren't done here. Dental at all. Visual aids appointments are covered to a degree. If we were in the US, I'd be gone. Listen, I have Graves' disease, and I shudder to think what it would have cost me to get that treated in the US, because, like, I have to go, I'm actually due for one, I have to go every 2 to 3 months for a blood draw. And here in Canada, that's just covered by our public health care. So I go in to the blood clinic, they take whatever vials they need, they say have a good day, and I just walk in and walk out. I give them my card, I walk in, I walk out. It doesn't cost anything. I shudder to think what all those blood tests would cost. But I needed them more frequently when I was on medication because they needed to keep an eye on my thyroid levels. Like they need to see what my thyroid is doing. And this is something that will have to be for the rest of my life. Like, there might be more or less time between appointments, but they pretty much will forever have to keep an eye on my thyroid and what it's doing. And I just shudder to think what a simple blood draw every couple of months would cost in the US without any kind of coverage. Epilepsy, and that's the least of my issues. Can't imagine what one trip to the hospital would cost me in the US. It's insane. And sometimes even people who have insurance, like they have to pay the deductible before they can even... so like I've known people who are like, yeah, I have medical insurance, but I still have to pay like $300 toward certain things before my insurance even kicks in. And I'm like, what's the point of having medical insurance if they expect you to pay the first, and that's even 300 is like a light number. Like I can't even imagine sometimes like what hoops people jump through just to get coverage. And if you need a specialized medication, like good golly. Here in the States, there's low income health insurance that the states pay for, but yet again, we have to jump through hoops. Yeah, I mean, and again, like anything, I hate to say it, any port in a storm, right? Um, I'm grateful for existing programs. I'm grateful for the existing programs here in Canada too, because I'd be sunk without them. But I definitely think all around medical is something that could be heart surgery. I cannot even, well, even just the cost of having a baby in the US. Like sometimes I'm like, I don't know how people afforded to have hospital births. It's crazy. Um and I am very grateful that there are some programs that exist and that people are able to get access to them. I just think they should be better. I think it should be more accessible. I think it should be more timely. Um, like I said, I could soapbox about this for forever because I know so many people who have had just really awful experiences with the healthcare system and waiting forever for appointments and just having to jump through all of these like really terrible hoops in order to just get decent medical care. And I think we should do better. I think as a modern and enlightened society, that is something that we should be paying more attention to. 100%. But I'm just grateful. I'm just grateful for what I have because, like I said, I have a condition that will require lifetime monitoring and sometimes requires specialized medication. They actually had to order my medication from Australia. It's funny when we talk about when people do those like hypothetical like what if the apocalypse happened? Like what would you do? Kind of scenario. And I sort of always half jokingly I'm like I would just be screwed because my craft cam is slightly off. Because I need specialized medication from another country. So that ain't gonna happen during the apocalypse. But yeah, I'm gonna take a quick break because I haven't really done a proper restroom break since we started. This is what we have accomplished for the day, just a little, but you can start to see the outline of the dragon head a little bit more. And I'm going to get out my threads and start organizing threads. We're probably going to go for about another hour to hour and 20 minutes. Because I have another stream tonight with our friends Joseph Chilson, Jay Chili. We are going to be playing Hatoful Boyfriends. And we're going to be starting around 5 p.m. Pacific time. He usually starts at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So I'm just going to take a break after my stream and get some food and chillax for a hot minute with Ghost Peppa before we start. So I'm probably going to wrap up hopefully around 1:30, 1:45 Pacific time. But that gives us another hour to hour and 20 minutes or so to organize some threads. So I will just take a quick break and I will be back with that. Finished chapter 7 of draft 2. And add cute scenes. Nice! Angel Faye, I'm glad it's going so well. We've got this to work on. I get weirdly excited about organizing things. So I've made, it doesn't look like, it looks like the same place where we stopped yesterday, but I figured out that I can fit 7 colors in each. So I rearranged these a little bit, and I got a bit deeper into the greens. And what I want to do is actually done blurb number 3. I still think that's such a good idea to do like a bunch of different blurb. I need to do more like blurbs and more practice blurbs for my books and stuff. I just hate writing blurbs so much. It's like my least favorite thing. But you can see I've kind of made a dent in the greens here. And so what I kind of want to do is just do like a preliminary. So I have all the turquoise tints here in this, and I kind of just want to do like a preliminary sort through and decide like which ones are more green. And this is a green background though, like which ones are more green and which ones are more blue. Like that one seems more green and that one seems much more bluey. It's hard sometimes when you have a color and you're like, is it blue or green? I'm not quite sure where to put that one yet. And then I also try to arrange them like these two colors look almost exactly the same. I can barely tell the difference between them. They look like they might as well be the same color. They're labeled differently. Oh my goodness, I think that one's ever so slightly darker. And that one's more blue. That one's definitely So these are definitely more green, and then this one's sort of like right in the middle. And then I have these like more neutral tints, which I guess I could pull these out and put them with the neutrals instead of, because I do have a bunch of more neutral colored ones. Or I could try to fit them in later. So I might do that. I might pop these into this bin instead. And then that way when I get to the turquoise, I am ready to just start organizing them. And then next I just have to go through the blues and decide what I'm gonna do with the blue ones. But for now, I just sort of tuck them in here in the order that I'm gonna spool them so that I can just pull them out and go when I get. I have a feeling like once I actually finish getting all of them on spools, there's going to be a lot of reorganization involved in the process, because these are basically like more sort of off tints that I haven't really, and then I have like all these peachy ones as well, so we'll see. But for now, they are very pretty. Getting the boys ready? No problem, Tal. I understand. You are at like a completely different time of day than me, so I get it. But yeah, there's a lot of really pretty colors. I have a feeling I will change my mind about how I want to organize them like a million times before I actually before I'm actually satisfied. But for now, I'm basically just trying to get a rainbow on there in here. I'm pretty happy with how I have them organized so far, because once they're lined up, they seem to like blend pretty good between the colors. Oh, actually, a couple of colors that I forgot about. We'll see how it goes, but I'm hopefully gonna do at least 6 of these before I gotta go. Get out some of my spools. At least my blurb title never changes. That makes sense. I try to come up with like a tagline for each of my books that I can use as like Marathnon. Ah, Marathnon would like me to be the octopus. Give me 1 second while I retrieve. This lovely hat was made for me by the fabulous It's Woof, who also made this small octopus. Heck yeah. Let me just get it situated and recurl my tentacles so that they look fabulous. Octo Striker, heck yeah. I love this hat. It's so comfy. My tagline is 1 past, 2 hearts, and exciting adventures awaits. That's a really good tagline. I like that. Yeah, I usually try to come up with something like that and then like start my blurb with it and use it for like my tweets and stuff, but it's hard. It's hard to distill I'm not twisting that the right way. It's hard to distill a whole novel down into like a couple of words. Marathnon, it's good to see you. Enjoy your lurk. Marathnon came in for the octopus and then melted into the shadows. Heck yeah. Might actually put these in with the greens. Oops. I have so many, there's so many containers open right now. I'm feeling that should have been earlier in the process. That one actually looks more blue as well. That Terminator is out there, apparently. Oh no, I'm closing my hand socks into the containers. What have I done? Alright. I'm much happier with that. Order. If you can't tell, I enjoy organizing things. My husband asked me earlier, he was like, if I did some classes, would you be willing to like help me organize timetables? And I was like, are you asking me to make you a schedule spreadsheet? Because yes. That is my jam, thank you. I'll post a picture of what diamond paint looks like with the kit contents laid out. That helps include my storage system. Nice! Thank you for doing that, Gina. I appreciate that. That would be very helpful. And typical paper. Okay, yeah. Yeah, because I'd love to know, like, because you said that you use the paper to help you, like, section it off. So I'd love to know, like... As someone who has no idea, like, how to approach the beginning of diamond painting, I would love to know, like, what the process is for getting started and, like, how you organize everything and keep track of it. Sometimes I think that all of the conversations that really interest me must be boring to other people. So, I love to talk about organization and note taking and like, what's your system for keeping track of stuff? Um, Part of me is like, I don't think this would ever happen because obviously a lot of companies do this like in house. But it would be amazing to just have like a freelance consulting thing where I just like organized spreadsheets for people. And it's like, oh, you need something organized? I'll organize that for you. I'll never talk to you again after that. But I'll get you organized. I'll get you set up. There probably is some kind of service for that in the world, but the artwork on the release paper is from Caffeinated Jeweler on Twitch. Oh, that's so awesome! I thought it was super cute. I definitely need to plumb the depths of the maker and crafting Twitch a little bit more. I follow a bunch of artists, but I do not follow nearly enough crafters. I'm definitely unraveling that in the wrong direction, but it's not getting tangled, so if we can avoid all of the massive knots that we had yesterday, that would be fabulous. Because we definitely spent some time undoing knots yesterday, and it is not my favorite. So you can see I'm into we started with like the lighter yellow greens yesterday, and now we're into the much darker true greens, and then we're gonna start to go into the bluer tinted greens. So I have like a turquoise section set aside, and then we'll get into the blues. But yeah, I like making lists. I like making spreadsheets. I like organizing things. I think it's because I work for myself. In order to make sure anything gets done on any given day, like, I have to make sure that I have a plan. I don't have anyone to be like, today you're working on this thing. I am the person who says, today you're working on this thing. And so I've just kind of, it's a learned skill. Organization is a learned skill. And I've just kind of gotten to the point where I'm like, all right, I need to organize a thing. I'm just going to sit down and figure out how to organize it. I even make myself little wiki-style documents for all of my novel projects. So I just have a really easy access to all of the notes that I need and like all of the details. So it's like, oh, I need to know what the titles of nobility are for Aravalia. And I just go into the Aravalia Chronicles and I look at the Aravalia information and I'm like, here's the list of noble ranks and how you address them. Right? Well, it's interesting because I did a lot of research into, like, when I was coming up with how I wanted my nobility to be addressed in my novels. I did a lot of research, and, like, it's different in every country. It's different in England than it is in France. Like, there's different ranks. And it's like, we think of lords and ladies, and we always say, my lord or my lady. But if it's a duke, you wouldn't say my lord. That would actually be disrespectful. You would say your grace. So in England, a duke is actually, or a duchess, is addressed as Your Grace, right? And so I wanted to do something similar in my books because it makes the world feel more real. And I was like, I need to keep track of it because I can never keep all that in my head. I write science fiction and fantasy books. My current the series that I just started publishing this year. I don't think I updated my command yet, so let me actually go on Amazon and grab the link. I just started publishing a series called the Awhile Chronicles. The first book came out in February. And it is a high fantasy epic that takes place in a modern day world. So basically, my characters fight dragons and then they go to Starbucks after. And you can get magic shots in your coffee at the magical Starbucks. Yes, Molly Phipps made that cover, and it is amazing. I have the cover for the second book, and I'm getting very excited to do the cover reveal, but it's not time yet, because the second book is coming out in July, I believe? No, it might be June, because my next book is coming out in April for my other series, so it'll be June for book 2. And that is a book that I work on. I work on that series on stream a lot. It is, the series is written. The final book has been written. I'm just working through edits, on the rest of the series. And I also write, sci-fi. My other big series is The Celestial Serenade, which is a space opera. It takes place, in a vast and sweeping galactic empire setting, but it focuses on characters. Right now they are just on Amazon, because in order to get access to the Kindle Unlimited, I am unfortunately forced to enroll only on Amazon, but I am planning to take my series wide. No, it's a 15 book series, so it will be across the next 5 years, but I do 3 books. I do a full trilogy every year and then a box set in December. And then I have a second series that I'm working on publishing, called Everyone's Child, which is a high fantasy in a more medieval setting. And that comes out, I put 2 of those out a year. So I basically do a release every other month because I'm insane. And I have a buffer. But I am, unfortunately, my new books all go straight to Kindle Unlimited. Because in order to get access to the Kindle Unlimited, I need to be Amazon only. But I am planning to, hopefully later this year, start taking my older series wide. I want to get them into the Kobo version. I don't know exactly what it's called, but I want to get them into the Kobo version of the Kindle Unlimited, essentially. And I want to get them in other bookstores, because eventually being on Kindle Unlimited gets... It essentially runs out of, being useful. But there are also paperbacks for all of my books. And I am hoping to get my paperbacks into a wider distribution, hopefully later this year. It just depends on time, because I don't have to be Amazon exclusive with those. It's only the ebooks that have to be Amazon exclusive for Kindle Unlimited. So yeah, if you like space opera, if you like galactic empire but focused on character interactions and character lives, The Celestial Serenade might be for you. I believe I have a link to that under the Celestial. It's a little bit out of date. There's actually 9 books in that series, and they are all currently published. So yeah, but I talk about my writing projects a lot on this stream, because usually I'm reading. And yeah. I spent several years building up a bit of a publishing buffer so that I can do kind of rapid release, but not like 15 books in a year time span. Is it playing this weird ass song that I skipped again? I don't get into that weird effect. Sounds like nails on a chalkboard. This little down here in the corner, right here, this boy, this grumpy elf boy here, he's actually the main character in the Arvalia Chronicles. That is Domrin. He's my grumpy elf son, and he features very heavily in the Arvalia Chronicles. So if you want to learn more about my grumpy elf child, that is where to find him. Yeah, I try to do 3 years so that people can basically get a full trilogy without having to wait too much. And then each trilogy kind of has its own plot line, but together they form a larger series. And I try to do that so people can feel satisfied with what they're reading without having to wait a long time for like anything to pay off. Have to go parent. Oh no, good luck. Good luck, Tal. Switch that to there. I'm really curious about how they, like, number these, because, like, I noticed that a bunch of the yellows are, like, or no, I guess it was a bunch of the oranges. A bunch of the oranges are, like, the same numbers, like, very close together. But then the greens are, like, all over the place. Like, this is a 988 and this is a 163. So I wonder, like, how they determine, like, what number each color is supposed to be labeled with. It probably is some, like, complicated tint thing, but I don't know how they do it. Hey, Advariel, how's it going? I always have to think about your name and make sure that because I always almost say it wrong, and I'm still not even sure I say it right. I try so hard. But my brain very much wants to mispronounce your name every time I see it. I'm like, no, remember. Advu? Is that correct? That my brain would probably accept Advu much more easily. I appreciate. There's something, I don't know what it is. There's something about the spelling of your name, and I always remember what you said for how to remember how to pronounce it, and it helps. But there's something about when I see your name, my brain is like, you're gonna say it wrong this time, and I'm like, no, please. In fairness, though, like, I make up names and I eventually have to change the spellings because I'm like, I do not pronounce this the way that I spelled it. My brain is like that with a few songs. Mood. Like, seriously. Sometimes I just cannot make my brain say the letters in the right order that I want. Like, I try to say a word and a completely different word comes out. And I'm like, that is not the word I was trying to say. Yeah, but I still want to pronounce it the way that you want it to be pronounced. Like, it's your made up name. You get to decide how it sounds. How are you, by the way? How is it going? We are organizing my brand new threads today and just kind of talking about random stuff. Kids are no longer yelling. Good. Good. Yelling is bad. Especially if it's morning there, which I suspect it is. I was saying, Tal, I don't know if you heard, because I think you had to... Oh, shit, I just did the thing I didn't want to do. I was saying that I like to do a trilogy release every year because it gives people, like, a story arc, like a satisfying story arc without having to wait. But then you can essentially, like... Over time, the story fills in for the series. But I don't do 6 releases of the same series every year because that would just be too much. That would be overloading. I feel. It's not even 7 a.m. My goodness. I've had some parts thought out to add into my book. Listen. 50,000 words is a novel. Anything under that, usually between 10 and 50 is a novella. But you can call it a book no matter how long it is. Length isn't that important. I think people put too much emphasis on it. It's at 80K, 100% a novel. It makes me happy as a reader. Yes. See, I like long series, but I don't necessarily enjoy every book ending on a cliffhanger. So I will admit that every now and then, if it's mid-trilogy, there is a cliffhanger. The later in the series, the more likely it is to have a cliffhanger mid-trilogy. But I always make sure that at the end of each trilogy, there's like a stopping point. That it feels satisfying. There was a trilogy arc that like got addressed. You know, my characters accomplished something. Character development happened, so that you can get to the end of a trilogy and be like, yeah, I got a story out of that. There was things that were happening, and I feel like they happened, and there might be more to this story, but at least something got resolved. I hate having to wait for the next book, but I'm an editor, so it's basically my everyday. I know the feeling. I'm a binger. I like to wait for a show to be finished before I watch it, or a book series to be finished before I read it. So I try to keep that in mind. And that's where my publishing model comes from, is like every 2 months I put out a new book in the big series, and you get 3 of them a year, and then a box set in December. So if you want to wait until December and get the next installment of the series, you can just nom it all in one go. Or you can get them, I think it's February, June, and October. I guess I put out a book every 2 months. It's not always in the same series, but yeah, and you get that. Hopefully, that's one of the questions I ask my beta readers too, is always, did this feel like a satisfying installment of a series? Did you feel like you got a whole story, or did you feel like you wanted like it was unsatisfying, like you wanted there to be more? And the response I usually get is, I want there to be more, but it felt like a satisfying, like, plot, which is kind of what I'm going for. Because I like long series, but I also don't want people to feel like I spent $8 on a book and I didn't get the experience that I was hoping for, you know? I'm a reader as well as a writer. Gonna go sleep, so I'll see you tomorrow. Angel Faye, take care. Thank you so much for bringing new friends our way. I hope that the walk-in closet is going well, and I hope that the novel continues to go well as well. Take care of yourself. I will see you soon. Get lots of good sleep. I generally feel like the best guide for writers is like if you were reading this book, because you know I write the same kind of books that I read. I mean, I guess maybe that's not true for everybody. Um, but I write the kind of books that I would like to find on a bookshelf in a bookstore. So the best guide really for writers is like if you were a reader, if you were reading this book, how would you feel like about what's happening on the page? How would you feel about the stopping point, or how would you feel about like what's happening? And to some extent, like cliffhangers in some places are things that do exist to, you know, bring readers back for more. But like if you're like, oh, if I was reading this, I would be furious, then probably somebody reading your book is going to be furious about it as well. So you kind of have to temper the decisions that you're making about like long series and what your stopping points are against like how people are going to feel when they when they get to the end of the book and they have to wait 2 months or 4 months or whatever to read the next one. And it's challenging, can be really challenging to balance those sort of things. I've somehow just gotten this green all over my lap, but it didn't get tangled, so there's that. These are the greens that I like, are these really... I don't like the yellow greens as much, but I like the really dark tone greens. They're very pretty. This reminds me of like a pine tree, like pine needles. Just that really like dark, wintry green. One guy told me to change the font to trick my brain when I proofread. That is actually a really good trick. So if you are used to writing in and editing in a certain font, and you want to catch things that you think you might be missing, change the font or change the margins, or do something to make the writing appear in a slightly different order so that your line breaks are in a different place, and so that things don't look as uniform as you're used to. I don't know why this works. I think it's because you get so used to reading a certain font or reading a certain layout that your brain just autocorrects things. But if you use a different font or a different like page layout, it really does make the mistakes stand out more. I don't know why, but it 100% does work. It's good advice. Another thing that I don't do, but that I know other people who do, is you can use a text-to-speech program to read through your work. And that also makes some of the errors stand out really starkly. Because it's going to punctuate exactly as you're punctuating. And sometimes that makes it stand out if you've, like, missed a punctuation mark. I'm going to take off the... We got lots of time off of that octopus redeem. But unfortunately, it's time for the octopus to go. No. So when you use a text to speech program, it's going to literally translate everything. So like when you read in your brain, you add tone and inflection to things. So like you know how like when you talk, you don't always talk in a uniform tone. You say things in a specific way, and when you're reading or writing, you add that tone and inflection to what you're saying. But when you use a text to speech program, it's just flat AI. It doesn't have tone or inflection. It's very robotic. And so it's going to, when you have punctuated something with inflection, um, it's not going to come through in the text to speech. It's going to be very literal. And if it's awkward, it will stand out because I mean, to a certain extent, there are parts of the AI reading that are going to be awkward because of the lack of tone and inflection. But if you have a punctuation mark in an incorrect spot, it's going to stand out really starkly when the AI is reading it. And so I do know people who use text to speech to catch that kind of stuff. Um, every editing tool is a mixed bag. You know, every editing tool has its benefits and its downfalls. The sort of downfall of the sort of pitfall of using an AI text to speech is that it's impossible for it to have inflection. So there will be parts of it, of the reading, that sound awkward no matter what. But it is really good at coming like, or like if you have a double word that your brain is like editing out, the AI is going to read that and you're going to be like, okay, yeah, that definitely is a mistake. So it's like, it's a way to sort of overcome the tendency of your brain to just fix things. Because if you have a double word, especially like what happens to me a lot is if I accidentally put a double word in, and it's at a line break, I just see the word once on one line and once on the next line, and my brain is like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that because I don't notice that the word's in there twice. But if you change the font or if you have an AI reading it, then all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay. um, so it's just a little hack. Yeah, brains are. I was having this conversation with my husband yesterday and also with some friends of mine. And it's like part of the creative process is really just tricking your brain into doing what you want it to do. Because um, your brain organizes concepts and considers things in a like completely irrational way. And so as creatives, we often find ourselves fighting our brain, like wondering if something sounds right, and then you look at it for so long that it like loses meaning to you, or even like workflow, like trying to create workflow is just about tricking your brain into not thinking too hard, or learning to be okay with having mistakes in your work so that you can get through a first draft. Like it's a whole bunch of, you basically have to hack your brain to do a thing and to feel like remotely satisfied with it. And so the more you know like what things your brain is going to fight with you about, the easier it becomes to like develop hacks that counter that. So like if you know that your brain edits, like automatically fixes common errors, and Word doesn't always catch them either, like Word's auto like spell check and stuff doesn't always catch them either, then you can do things like use an AI to read it, or change the font, or make the text size bigger so that the line breaks fall in a different position or whatever. And then it's like, aha, I see that I have missed this. I also do the thing where like if two words are similar, sometimes I don't notice that I've used the wrong one. One that I really kick myself for a lot, that my beta readers catch for me all the time, is when I describe a dress as having sequins, but I spell it sequence instead of sequins. And for some reason, I just don't notice. I know that it's wrong. I know that they're different words. But my brain just autocorrects it. My brain is just like, yeah, you did that right. And then I get my stuff back from my beta readers, and my mother-in-law has crossed out like 3 instances where I said sequence instead of sequence. And I'm like, freaking, I know that that's not right. Why did I do that? So it happens. Hey, why? How's it going? Sometimes when there's a word with double letters, I'll double the wrong letter. I feel that. I can never remember how to spell vacuum. I don't know why, but for some reason, vacuum and bureaucracy. I always put the vowels in the wrong order for bureaucracy. And I'm like... like, theoretically know how to spell this word, but also my brain is just like, yeah, just throw some vowels in there. It'll be fine. They'll get in the right space eventually. Tired. AAA got implemented into our system today. Oh! So was there a lot of, like, new learning and stuff to do? Or a lot of, like, little things that needed to be corrected? I remember we launched a new ticket system when I worked in IT, and it was an interesting experience, to say the least. More of having the drivers knowing what's different and how it works. I see, I see. Are you done for the day, though? Are you able to start relaxation time now? I also saw that you beat, was it Noida, I think it's called? I saw your post in the Discord. Another 2 hours. Oh no! Well, I hope they are smooth hours. If quiet is a good thing in your job, then I hope that it's quiet. Not all jobs. Quiet isn't always a good thing for all jobs, so if it's not a good thing for your job, then... But if it's a good thing for your job, then I hope that it is quiet and smooth. I never tell Flutterdye that I hope it's quiet for her because she makes tips. So a quiet day would not be a good day for Flutterdye because she wouldn't get tips. But when I worked in IT, we liked those slow days when nobody had computer questions. But yeah, back to what I was saying before, like... I think that's why, like, you should never feel, like, ashamed of making those kind of mistakes, because everybody does it. Like, everybody makes different mistakes, but everybody does it. But also, that's why, like, beta readers and editors and stuff are so important. Like, when Tal is going over her client's work, or, like, when I'm going over my client's work, the whole point is, like... I'm seeing it in a new context. I'm seeing it outside of the environment that it was written in. And so it's going to be easier for me to see those little mistakes and stuff that your brain just auto filters out. And usually, like, if one of my authors makes a mistake often, I point it out. But I know too, like, one of the guys that I edit for, like, his autocorrect, like, every time he wrote the word waved, it would, like, autocorrect to, like, W-A-I-V-E-D, and he could never figure out why. He's like, that's not what I'm writing, it's just, like, autocorrecting. And I was like, so just at the end, like, when you're finished writing something, just use a just use a replace all. Like, if you know that it's like auto-correcting and you're not noticing it, just do a find and replace, because you're never going to use the other version of that word in the context of, like, the fiction that you're writing. And it's just a little shorthand that helps you get through. I did not cut that in half, but that's okay. I did not put that on straight either. What is happening? Look at all these greens. So pretty. Hell yeah. Right now, I'm trying to figure out how to have my MC explain his powers to someone without it sounding like a lecture. Ooh, can he, like, do an example? Can you do can you have him use his powers so that you can switch off between conversation and, like, description? Because that would help break it up. Just off the top of my head, if he's able to. Not everyone can just be like, look, I set my hand on fire. So if it doesn't make sense to show an example, obviously, like... Or also, like, if he can't, like, if he can't show it so that you can use description, you could have him, like... Instead of saying, like, here's the science behind my power works, you could have him, like, use a simile. He fears how little control over his powers he has, so he only uses them life or death situations. Totally fair. What kind of power... Can I ask, like, what kind of powers he has? Because that might make it easier to give suggestions. Before I give you, like, 6 things and you're like, no, that wouldn't work. What are his powers like? Because I know my character Domerin, like, can't really give examples of his abilities a lot of the time either, because then he has to get his swords out, and a lot of people aren't okay with him just being like, here's my random sword that I just drew to make an example of something. Well, not random sword. He does wear them, like, in the open, but not everyone is okay with him just drawing his swords. This one is going to be a jerk face. Where's the other side of it? Where did the other end go? I've learned to start unraveling them at least a little bit before I wind them, because some of them come out really easily and some of them just decide that they're gonna bunch up. And this is one that has decided to be a tangle. Well, we'll get it started and then we'll see if we can loosen it up a bit. He brings his dream self and anything he can do into the real world. Oh, that's super cool. Okay. So he could start out the conversation, is lucid dreaming a concept in your world? Like, are people able to, like, take control of their dreams? Because he could start out by talking about, like, lucid dreaming and, like, asking the person that he's trying to explain to, like, have you ever been able to take control of your dreams and, like, manipulate your dream worlds? And then, like, they could be like, oh yeah, one time I, took control of a dream and I flew all over the place or whatever. And then he could sort of introduce that concept and then, like, explain how it relates to his power. And it would be more, like, it would be easier to have the other person participate. And it would give them an experience that they might have had that they can sort of liken it to, and that the reader may have had that they can liken it to. Because I've been able to lucid dream a couple times. Usually when I realize I'm dreaming, I wake up, but I have, on a few magical and rare occasions, been able to do lucid dreaming, which is super interesting. I can also understand why he wouldn't want to necessarily just demonstrate that in front of a person as well. I can understand how that would be a little bit like, oh, why do you not want to cooperate with me? He's describing the invulnerability he gets when his powers are active, but at the same time trying to describe that he still thinks he can get hurt or knocked back. So, like, what that makes me think of is, have you ever had a dream that you're swimming underwater? Because this is an experience that I've had as in a dream. Like, that I'm swimming underwater and I'm, like, exploring underwater, and I know that I need to breathe because my brain, like, logically knows that if I don't breathe, I'm gonna die. But in the dream, I don't, like, go to the surface or anything. So eventually, in the dream, I just breathe. But I'm still fine. Like, I'm still able to swim underwater, and the dream, like, continues, but I'm breathing underwater. And there's a part of me that knows that I shouldn't be able to do that, but for some reason I can. He could kind of use an example like that, like a sort of a simile to like illustrate, like, this is what it feels like for me, is like, I can do this thing, but I know that theoretically I shouldn't be able to do that thing. And you don't have to use that specific example. Like, you can if you want to. But something like that, where anything that allows the other person to have input to make it more of a back and forth should make it feel like less of a lecture. I do get underwater dreams, but it usually ends up with me waking up from drowning. Oh no, that's awful. It's interesting because I asked Ghost Pepper if he ever had a dream like that, and he said no. He said that he's never, like, had a dream where he, like, felt like he was holding his breath during the dream. So it's really interesting. Like, everybody has different experiences. Usually when I dream I'm underwater, the surface is frozen. Ooh, that's scary too. Like, I've just had dreams where I'm, like, floating around in, like, a shipwreck or whatever and just exploring, and I'm like, I'm gonna need to breathe at some point. I panic, try to get out, but I'm still breathing. I've definitely had, sometimes I, not with the water one specifically, But sometimes I have dreams that I'm like being chased. And that something is chasing me. And even if I can't see it, I just know that I'm being chased. And so I'm like desperately running away or like trying to find a place to hide. And I often wake up from those dreams and feel really like worried that something is like following me or that I need to like find a safe place or whatever. So I definitely know that feeling of like I gotta get out of this. But I think that dreams are really interesting bits of reality because we know a lot about how the brain works, but we don't necessarily always understand dreams and exactly what our brain is doing in dreams. And so if you're trying to explain a fantasy concept, one thing that I really enjoy doing is drawing from real world experience, because the more you can draw from a real world, I don't know why I can't say real world today. The more you can draw from a real world experience, the easier it's going to be for readers to sort of identify with the concept that you're describing. And it makes it feel more realistic. It makes it feel like the powers that you're describing are grounded in reality, even if they aren't. Like even if the even if his ability has nothing to do with like lucid dreaming or anything like that, it still gives the reader, because everybody has some kind of experience with dreams. Everybody has some kind of experience with nightmares, or like sometimes you just know something in a dream, even though it doesn't necessarily make sense and you don't know how you know it. You just know that this thing is like true or whatever. So anytime you can take something like that and put it into a fantasy concept, I always really like doing that, because you don't have to fully explain it to the reader. The reader already knows. Like if you start talking about dream experiences, the reader has some kind of body of background experience with that, and then it takes out the amount of exposition that you have to put in. If that makes sense. I hope I'm explaining the concept properly. But you basically bank on people's real world experience to do some of your work for you. And then you don't have to work as hard. And you don't have to use as many words. Like giving them 2 plus 2 but never 4? Exactly. Because they know that 2 plus 2 is 4. So if you get them going in the right direction, get their brain it's just a form of subtext, right? A useful form of subtext, because they'll fill in the blank. And the cool thing is everybody will fill in that blank slightly differently, right? Like when I bring up my underwater dreams, all 3 of us had experience with underwater dreams, but they were different. But they were similar enough that we all understand that same concept. And so you're basically giving the reader space to bring their own experience into the book, but also saving yourself sort of the trouble of exposition, because it's already there, if that makes sense. Sometimes people talk about negative space in art and in narrative. So it's like the idea that if someone is in pain, you don't necessarily need to write about the pain. You write around the pain, and the brain fills in what you're missing. It's like a narrative description technique. Not exactly the same as what I'm suggesting, but very similar, because you're basically just allowing the reader to fill in that blank. And then that way, it just means that your main character doesn't have to talk as much, essentially. And obviously, if this doesn't feel like it's good advice, feel free to not use it. But that's what I would probably try to do. Because like I said, I like playing around with dreams and narrative to begin with, because it gives you a lot of freedom that you don't have otherwise, because dreams don't follow the same rules as regular physics. But anything that I can sort of liken back to the real world and real world experience, I feel like that makes the world feel more realistic. So, so I always try to do that. That was unrelated. Ignore the Man, I tangled this one good. This is really tangled. I don't know how this happened. There we go. It's free. I did it. I'm glad. And, like, honestly, if you try it and it doesn't work out, like, no pressure to, like, do what I suggest, but hopefully that just gives you some ideas to work with. Because as a fantasy writer, I think one of the hardest things is you want to introduce a completely made up concept, but you don't want to spend 3 pages describing it. And so, like, how do you do that, and how do you vary the ways that you're doing that so that it doesn't feel like you're, like you said, lecturing the reader, and also your character is familiar with, like, how their abilities work, so you don't want that to feel awkward either. The other person can say something along some, like, so when you're dreaming, you're in a dangerous situation, but you're not hurt because your real body is safe. Yes, exactly. All right, let's get this bugger onto the spool. Don't you dare retangle after all the effort I went to untangle you. Such lovely greens. I'm gonna pop AFK just a quick minute here, and then we're hopefully gonna do 2 more of these, and then I'm gonna wrap up for the afternoon and go hang out with Ghost Pepper before my next stream. So I will be right back. All right, I'm back. Hoping to get 2 more greens done. And then we'll see who's around for a raid. Already see this one being troublesome. Ooh. And the main character can fly exactly, except my real body doesn't exist. Ooh, I like that. I like that. That makes sense. Well, you said that he can essentially do what his dreaming self can do in real life, so my understanding would be that his dream body and his real body are the same. So, like, um, theoretically, he has the invulnerability of believing in a dream, but if something happened to his dream body, that it would also happen to his real body. Unless I'm not understanding it properly. So I'm assuming that, like, if he used his power, the reason why he doesn't like doing it is because he'd be taking a risk. He'd be taking a risk by doing it. I'm assuming. Ah! I am not doing a good job of containing this thread. Have you ever seen the movie, I think it's called The Sphere? I guess it's technically a horror movie, but it's one of the few, like, sci-fi slash horror things that I've actually been able to watch, because I don't do a lot of horror, but I guess technically it's horror? I think that one came apart in a logical, reasonable fashion. The risk is that he doesn't have full control over his powers. While they're active, he is completely invulnerable, but he has to actively be thinking about how invulnerable he is for his brain to not think he's dead when he's hit by something. No, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes total sense. So, like, my thought is that, in a dream, especially if you're, like, lucid dreaming, things don't hurt you in, like, when I have the underwater dream, I don't get hurt because I'm theoretically not underwater and so I can still breathe. But when I'm, like, running away from something in a dream, I believe that I have the ability to get away from it, and that's why I continue to be able to evade it, even though sometimes in the dream the way I evade something is by, like, magically, like, jumping to a new position, because that's how my brain decides that I deal with that situation or whatever. So, like, he would have to believe at every point in time that he can handle the situation that he's in, and if he doubts it, then he would be vulnerable. So when he says like, except my my real body doesn't exist, like he doesn't have like a dream state and a real state like we do. He just has one state, and he has to be perfectly in tune with that ability, or things could go wrong. That's why I thought of like the sphere, because sort of the main concept in that movie is sort of like, spoilers for a several decades old movie, but the idea is that these people, 100%, should just watch it because it's a good movie. But essentially, I don't know if I should say now. Essentially, the people gain the ability to make their thoughts become real. Is sort of the contrivance of the movie. It's not exactly the same as what you're describing, because they are not necessarily conscious of the fact that they're doing it. But it's a similar concept of like the power of the mind to conjure or counteract. I'm assuming that, like, part of the challenge is that he has to really believe that he's actually invulnerable the whole time. If he doubts that he is invulnerable, then he might not be. Sable, hello. Thank you for the raid. Welcome in. How's it going? What were you working on today? I'm actually crafting today because I'm taking the week away from writing. Had a crash, so I'm bringing you whoever's left. Oh no, I'm so sorry that you had a crash. Welcome in, everybody. I'm gonna sneeze again. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna lean away from the mic when I do it. Maybe not. Maybe. There it is. Oh, I had so much trouble yesterday because I haven't done a dual cam stream in so long. I had to basically reset up all my cameras, so I feel you. Technology is not always the best. Thank you. I'm working on the Fall of Mellies today. Last scene. Nice! That's awesome! Nevermore D21. Hello. Or I guess it'd be Nevermore21. Hello, hello. Ever read X-Men Gladiator? The character has that power. It's based on his confidence. Oh, interesting. See, I don't know a lot of X-Men-y stuff, but that sounds cool. Currently, I am working on, as you can probably see, I just bought a whole bunch of threads for future cross-stitch projects, 150 colors. And so I am working my way through organizing them, getting them onto spools so that they don't tangle the second that I try to use them. And so that I can see what all colors I have. And we are currently in the greens. We're only going to be going for probably about another 10 minutes or so, but I've got one more of these to get on a spool before we wrap up for the day. So heck yeah, usually I do writing streams. For anyone who came in on the raid who's new and unfamiliar with me. I am Megan Cutler, aka Starborn Striker. Usually I do writing streams. Usually we are clicky clack, tippy tap typing or working on edits. But I'm taking this week away from writing just to give my brain a little refresh. Sometimes if you put the muse in the corner for a little while, she cooperates better when you come back. And so we have been doing some cross-stitching, some thread organization, getting ready for some of these future projects, and just chillaxing. We are talking about writing still, though. We are always talking about writing. I'll grab the dragon and show you. I also do cross stitch, haven't in a long time because it was hard to get the supplies for a while, but I'm gonna take it up again in the near future. That's awesome! I've mostly been doing kits from Amazon, and I've just sort of struck out into, I'm starting to do like custom patterns from Etsy and stuff, so that's kind of what this is for. I am sort of doing a initial stock up on raw materials for custom projects. So this one is a kit. So I did get this as a kit for Christmas last year. This is a dragon. It no longer fits all on the camera in one go. We worked on this bit today. We're starting to work on the face. And all of these little white spots is for beads. There's going to be beads on it. And the final, it's going to, when it's done, it's going to look like this. So I'm basically going to finish up the head and then take a break and work on another project for a little while. I haven't started the wings or the moon yet, although you can kind of see like the outline of where the moon is going to go. Yeah, so this is like what when I finish my streams, I usually go work on this after lunch, in between my writing sessions. So we did a little bit of that, on camera today, and then I'm working on organizing these threads so that I can do more custom projects. Thank you, Exiled Faye. So yeah, and if you're wondering, I just actually went on Amazon and found like 150 pack of these threads, and I figure that'll do me. It was like $2 more than the 100 pack, so I was like, that'll do me for a couple of projects. Insightful about the muse. I've been doing that for a bit too, letting the brain percolate. Exactly. If you're doing something all the time, eventually, even if it's something you really love, you sort of build up a resistance to it. And it starts to feel like work, and it starts to feel like you're forcing yourself. Even if you feel happy about it, and even if you feel satisfied about it, it can start to build up, you know, even just subconsciously, that you feel tired and you feel fatigued by it. So if you're struggling with your writing projects, take a break. Take a couple days off. Don't think about it. Do an activity. Hey, Ataru, how's it going? Do something that, like, you enjoy. Like, I do a puzzle whenever I take a week off of writing. I do a puzzle. I do crafting. That kind of stuff. Yes! Oh, did you see the dragon? I'll bring it back just in case. So everybody gets to see how pretty. This took a while, the tail section, and it looked really funky until I got it done, but I'm super happy with it. I haven't started on the wings yet, so this part looks a bit empty. But I like to, when I take a break, I like it to look like decent when I take a break. But yeah, take a break. Do something creative adjacent, but less like brain work. And I promise you, when you get back to your writing project, your muse will go wild. Ignoring your muse for a couple days, making your muse wait, will make your muse show up in force when you get back to it. Shai recently recommended a series of videos in which the advice was to think of that percolation time as part of the work. It's necessary in order to keep writing once in a while. Absolutely, 100% agree. I even, like for my big novel series, which we were talking about earlier, There's usually a year in between when I write it and when I start editing it. I don't take an entire year off. I work on other projects in that time. But it gives me like a hard reset. It gives me time to like hard reset my brain. And so when I come back to that project, I'm looking at it fresh and I'm seeing it sort of for the first time again. And that helps too because when you write something, you start to get biased towards it right away, right? You start to have, that was not an end that I just grabbed. You start to get biased about it right away. You start to think, oh, well, maybe that wasn't good, or maybe I should have done something differently. But if you like, because I always leave notes for myself at the end of the first draft, and I'm like, oh, I think I need to change this, and I think this was really bad. And I come back a year later and I read it, and I'm like, I don't know what I was on about. That scene is fine. That doesn't need to be changed. And you will still find things that need to be changed, but you see it fresh for the first time. And so I absolutely agree. Like, sometimes you need full breaks. Sometimes you need breaks from, like, a project before you come back to it. It's all about finding the balance that works for you. But one of the quotes that I'm, like, really fond of is, creativity is a season. There is, winter happens for a reason. There's a period of dormancy, and that period of dormancy serves a purpose. It gives you the power, it gives you the energy that you need for spring. And so taking time is never a bad thing. And I actually think that we as creatives struggle with taking the time that we need. We feel like we always have to be go, go, go. It takes so long to get through a project to begin with that we're kind of like, I don't want to pause, or this is already taking too long. But it's important. That time is important. I play Minecraft instead of writing at the moment because my mojo has gone with dealing with the nano fallout. Yeah, I haven't read as deep into that as I probably should, but I very much have been like, I need to function. So I will deal with that later. But I never was like deep into the community, and I never did MLAing either. So I guess it's easier for me to put that on mute for a hot minute and deal with it later. Starting to get excited for April now. Nice. Peter, hello. How's it going? Creative is exhaustion for me. I work a full-time job and don't have time to write. It does take energy. I have tangled this again. I'm sitting here trying to avoid tangles, and I've somehow tangled. Creativity takes energy, and if you don't have energy in the well, it is very, very hard to draw from the well. So, again, knowing limits and knowing when to pause and when to resume is part of it. It's a learned skill. Every part of creativity is a learned skill, and that's one of the more difficult ones. Why has this occurred? Alright, I think I got it. It doesn't look good, but I think I've got it untangled. So sleepy, just woke up from a snooze, and I had a handful of unpleasant dreams. Oh no, Peter, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm glad that you woke up now, though, because you get to catch the tail end of my stream. I'm not going to be going for very much longer. Game of Thrones has decided not to affiliate themselves. I did see that post. That was kind of what led me to look deeper into, like, all the things that were going on, because I was very, very out of the loop. The other organizers asked me to do that. It was a bit of a shit show, and bad people were doing bad things. Yeah, it kind of sounds like... I maybe shouldn't say this, but then I've never been affiliated with NaNoWriMo, and I've never worked for them, so I guess maybe I have the impunity to say this. It kind of sounds like a couple of people decided to bank on the concept and, like, sort of profit off of a thing that the creative community enjoys and comes together to make happen. and have maybe been a little bit exploitative in the background, and that could be why they haven't really been taking care of the community in the way that they should, which is sad, because, you know, the community deserves better. But also, unfortunately, there are these things do happen with creative communities. Hate to say it, but we all are wired a certain way, and sometimes when we all get together in one place, things happen. uh, and good things happen and bad things happen. It is sort of the unfortunate reality of creative spaces. But it's a shame because the NaNoWriMo community has introduced me to a lot of really amazing people and is a really great resource for the young community. And it's really sad to hear the things that have been going on there and the things that they've been struggling with. And that should not be happening, for sure. A lot more stuff has come out. I think as the forums were shut down and people were sort of forced to go elsewhere to converse, and to converse a bit more freely and in safer environments, I think more things have come to light, which is sad. And it's sad that it couldn't be addressed by the company the way it should have been, but I actually don't know all the details, Peter, but I do know that there were allegations of grooming in the Young Writers Forum, that there was potentially harassment, and one of the moderators was potentially a predator, and that when it was reported to the mod staff and to the people who run the forums, they basically didn't do anything about it. They basically tried to cover it up. That the young people who frequented those forums, we're talking teenagers, were forced to moderate for themselves and advocate for themselves, which is not something that should be happening. Like, young people deserve a safe space. They shouldn't have to fight to claim a safe space. And the response from the NaNoWriMo, like, corporate has just been to shut down and ignore rather than to moderate and respond. And so it's forced a lot of people to reevaluate the community and their interaction with it. And this is a company that does make money. Like, they sell merch. You know, they take donations. I've never given money to the company, but, you know, I know a lot of people who buy their merch, and I know it's a big thing. Like, it's a worldwide thing, NaNoWriMo. And obviously, like, I think Sable knows more, so if she corrects me, obviously, take her word for it, because I don't know all the details. But it's sad. It's heartbreaking, really. And it's very stressful for the people who have been actually working. Like, some people actually have MLA'd for NaNoWriMo and actually done work for the community, and they're the ones who end up suffering the most. I know a handful of people who did Nano. I tried it twice and failed, but I had no idea it was falling apart. It's more the forum, it's more the business and forum aspect. I mean, people are still going to do the event. NaNoWriMo is, I think, individual and apart from the business itself. Like, it'll always exist, but the place where the most people congregate for it is, I think, not going to be continue to exist in its current form. Yeah, unfortunately, anywhere that people congregate, I think there are always predators, which is sad. But that's what moderation is supposed to be for, and the moderators just weren't able to do the job because they weren't sort of trained for it, or were not able to do the job because they were being told by corporate to kind of just shut things down. Just being in any group of humans, to be fair, honestly, with my experience in community organizing, I think what happened is that they grew exponentially, were conflict adverse, avoided rather than dealt, and they lacked the infrastructure. That sounds accurate to me. like they were focused on one aspect of the event and on keeping the event running in a certain way and trying to avoid liability, and they didn't really understand what goes into keeping such a large group of people. Like, they wanted everything to be on the forums. They didn't want people doing Facebook groups and doing Discord and all that, probably because of liability. But then they weren't creating the environment that was conducive to the type of event that they were trying to run. And so they weren't really equipped. Like, Facebook is equipped for moderation. Discord is equipped for moderation. And smaller groups can better moderate their spaces. And my understanding of it is that the NaNoWriMo organizers just don't really have the capability of providing the environment that they claim that they're trying to give. If you do a diamond painting from Hades shop, just know you can choose between poured glue and double-side adhesive. Good to know. Do you have a preference, Gina? Like, do you think one is better than the other? I just assumed it was something like Stealing Stories. No, in a way, it's kind of worse than that. It's getting into people's lives, and like I read. One of the accounts that I read was of an MLA who was organizing for the community, like organizing in-person events and organizing Facebook events because they had trouble accessing the site, and they were basically told by the organizers of NaNoWriMo that none of it mattered because none of it was actually on the site. And it's like, you know, this was an event that was taking place in person way before the NaNoWriMo site came along, and way before like they had the forums, and they had like the concentrated merchandise and all that. And so like it feels really shitty to be saying to the community, like, you can't have those community spaces associated with NaNoWriMo, they don't count. And I get that maybe it's a legal, like, liability thing. Like, the corporate doesn't want to be responsible for things that happen at in-person writing events. But, like, you know, if you talk to a writer, write-ins are a big part of NaNoWriMo. That's, like, a lot of people are in it for those in-person things. And it mostly only moved online because of the pandemic. So, it's really... But again, it's really twisted. I don't have all of the details. I am a person who keeps to myself a lot, and this is one of the reasons why. But it's heartbreaking. There's a lot of people in the community that have been dealing with a lot of shit for a long time, and it's just now starting to come out because they're just now starting to be able to criticize the company because they're not employed by the company anymore. I love Nano. I've been an ML in the past. That was how I met Sable, actually, was because she was the ML for my area. I buy their shirts, and I never would have finished a novel or published a book without them. Yeah, I have, like, if I go on my NaNoWriMo, like, profile, a lot of my NaNoWriMo projects have been published, like, have become published books eventually, or will become published books eventually. So it's hard. Poured glue is easier to work with. Good to know. I write sci-fi and fantasy. Let me just finish this thread and I will get the link to my latest book. My latest series, the awhile Chronicles, is a high fantasy epic that takes place in a modern day world. So my characters fight a dragon and then they go to Starbucks. They go to the magical Starbucks and they get magical shots in their coffee. I also write sci-fi. The series that I just wrapped up publishing was a space opera. This is the first book in the awhile Chronicles. I will also grab the Celestial Serenade series while I'm here. Space opera is basically anything that has a vast and sweeping setting but focuses primarily on characters and their interactions. Megan rates the best. That's what Megan rates 10 out of 10 can confirm. Peter, thank you so much. That means a lot to me. I spend a lot of time doubting if anything I write is even half decent, so I appreciate those. Yeah, like Captain Harlock. Captain Harlock would be a great example of space opera. Most of the time I default to Star Wars because I think it's the one that everyone knows, but Captain Harlock, absolutely. I love Captain Harlock. And Galaxy 39, which Captain Harlock does briefly appear in. An ML is somebody who, I don't know, like the official term for, I think I've been saying MLA instead of ML, because I think that's something else entirely. They're basically like the leaders of a region. So like every region has an organizer, who, sort of takes care of the people who are participating. They organize like write-ins and like they might organize a Discord or they put up forum topics. They encourage the people who are doing the event and sort of are there for like support and stuff. And I think they were employed by the company. I think like the regional MLs were employed by the company. I don't know entirely how it works. But I know that Sable was one of the organizers for my area a couple years ago, and that was how I met her, and how I found Game of Tomes and how I got involved in all that community was because, you know, those people were hanging out in my region and were talking about like their events and stuff, and then I got to connect with those writers in my region. Like that's the thing about NaNoWriMo is it's supposed to put you into contact with the other writers in your region. It's supposed to help you connect to that community and have the support of that community in your area. So the idea that they are like, well, don't do physical write-ins, but like the whole point is to meet other writers in your area and to get to know people. Their new ML agreement broke international law and they are likely to get done for tax fraud. Yeah, I heard some not so great things about some of what they were trying to get and they basically told the MLs that they couldn't criticize the company. Like they were basically like, if there's a policy that you disagree with, you can't publicly talk about it, which is also kind of BS. Because like, how do you police a forum or moderate a forum or improve the conditions if you can't even say you guys are not doing what you need to be doing? I'd be great at being an organizer as long as I don't have to do anything. I feel you, Peter. We were regional volunteers, and yet we've been thrown under the bus with all this mess that started on the forums with a mod that was nothing to do with us. Yeah, it's really twisted. Like, it feels like the company got criticized, rightfully so, for not taking care of a situation that should have been, you know, that they should have been taking care of. And then they sort of lashed out at everyone involved and were like, you can't criticize us. You have to do what we tell you to do. It's, they definitely have not dealt with the situation well, which is sad because having a location where you can go and get connected with, you know, the local writing community in your area is huge. I would have loved to have that when I was a teenager. But I understand why people are walking away and are starting to move elsewhere. And like I said, I think NaNoWriMo will continue. People will continue to do it even if they're not associated with the company. People will continue to have writings. People will continue to have Discords. But it sucks that we're going to lose that central hub. We're going to lose that because the benefit of the NaNoWriMo was that you could go on there, you could put in your region, and it would say, here's the people who are organizing for your region. Here's the forum for your specific region, and you knew that all of the people that were posting in that area were local writers in your community, were people that you could connect with. But I don't think NaNoWriMo itself, like NaNoWriMo is a concept, it's an idea. Nobody really owns it. People are gonna keep doing it. People are gonna keep connecting, and people are gonna keep encouraging. It just sucks for the people who relied on that community to have lost it. The one that breaks international law is that everything has to be in English and we're not allowed to translate it. That sounds weird. hey, I mean, if you broke with them, like if you were volunteering for them and you've broken with them, theoretically they can't do shit. Like, you're not associated with them anymore. You should be able to express your. You should have been able to express yourself while you were associated with them, but I can understand why people were hesitant. If you're a volunteer and you're being shit on by a group, burn the whole thing to the ground, Peter. All the MLs that have joined the fleet, at least. Well, good luck. I really hope that there's a space. Like, I hope that writers are able to have a space, because they deserve that. I think the problem with some companies and places is that they think they're too big to fail. I don't even know if NaNoWriMo felt that they were... I think that they just thought that they own a concept and they can make money off of it. But it's a little weird to me to think that you own a concept. I don't know. I don't know how the legality of that works, though. I do have to wrap up, though, because Ghost and I said we were going to do lunch around 2, and it's 2:11. So let me label this. Perfection. We've got all these pretty little greens, and now we're gonna start getting into the more blue tint greens, and then we will have the turquoises. No wrap, only thread. Nobody can write in November or will be sued. Well, that's the thing. Like, how do you protect the copyright of an idea? Like, the concept of NaNoWriMo had to have been around before this company started doing, like, events. As long as we don't use the Nano trademark name, there's fuck all they can do. Yeah. But still, like, National Novel Writing Month, how do you even trademark that? Like, it's an event. It was a thing that people did. I feel like it had to have pre-existed the company. Maybe I'm wrong. I was very young when NaNoWriMo, like, first started being a thing that I was aware of, but I feel like, I don't know. What if we appeal to the World Council and change the name of November to something like Jovember? Oh, Peter. Oh, never mind. I'm not going to text my husband because I already hear him in the kitchen making the foods. I'm just going to let him know that I was about to wrap up stream. Let's see who's around. Yeah, cocky gate. Let's see. Oh gosh, I can't say their name properly. Anghasa is on. We might drop over and say hey to her. My brain is just like, you no longer... I have to do a game tonight with Joe where I have to read words, and my brain is like, you no longer can words, thanks. Thanks, brain. Brain? Yeah, okay, I think we'll drop over there. I don't know how much longer they're gonna be going, so we might ride the raid train. Hey, Diz is living. Unfortunately, I am wrapping up, so we won't get to talk much today, but how are you? How are you doing? No, you guys did not derail the stream at all. Like, the whole point of this stream was that I was just gonna talk while I did craft stuff, and I did craft stuff, so it's all good. But now I am doing tonight over on the J Chili channel. That's J Chili with 2 Y's. I am going to be doing Hatoful Boyfriend with him. We are going to try to unlock the secret ending so that he can finally experience the true Hatoful Boyfriend game. For those that don't know, Hatoful Boyfriend is a dating sim where you date pigeons. Or birds. Not all of them are pigeons. You date birds. It's great. I love it. It's wonderful. The pigeons are going wild tonight. So I gotta go eat some food and spend some time with my husband in between streams. But I will be doing that tomorrow. Not tomorrow. Saturday night, I will be on It's Whiff's channel. I will be playing A Date with Death. Another dating sim. I'm going to try to date the Grim Reaper. And I will be back to writing next week. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we are going to be doing edits on Aravalia Chronicles and Everyone's Child. And we're going to make the second Everyone's Child book cover in preparation for the release next month. So I will be back to the regular antics, but thank you so much for hanging out with me. It was great to see all of you and to hang out while I did this crafting. Please take care of yourselves. I will see you all again very soon.